unseated, undivided, torn apart, but reunited.
Ani Carriesanaway Dijnakas. Welcome to our third episode of Aambe Giigididaa Wiikwemkoong. And again, my name is Carriesanaway from Wiikwemkoong. So happy to have everybody joining us. I just want to say it's great to see everybody logging into our Facebook page for the talk show. And I've received numerous emails as well from some of our community members that are living in Wiikwemkoong, as well those who don't live in our community. So it's great to know that our information engagement is reaching everybody and anybody. So we just want to say chimigwech for taking the time to, get informed, have some awareness about some of the happenings here in our community. And having said that, we can all see that I do have our guest here today. To many people, we all know his face, Chief Terry McCaffrey with the Wiikwemkoong Tribal Police Service. So we want to say welcome, Terry.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I'm really looking forward to having this conversation. I know that there's a number of questions in our community about policing, and I want to be able to help to bring light to the activities of WTPS.
Right, and we've seen a lot of that, physically. We got to say, you've been in our community now since 2018, and we saw those the vehicles, our new vehicles, the decals, amazing, absolutely beautiful. And I know you've been quite active in the community as well, in various capacities in communication and attending meetings, and you're an integral part of our community. When we look at this past year, Terry, quite challenging, the last 9 to 10 months. COVID, a reality in every community, every sector in the community, including policing. Maybe some of the challenges, opportunities as well that you have seen implemented within the police service.
Well, absolutely. Just as you said, it is a very challenging time, not only here in our community, not only our province, our country, but this is a worldwide pandemic. So it's so important that all of our organizations across our community come together to work on defeating COVID and to putting measures in place to keep our community safe and secure. So what I can say is that in my work across the country, working with other police services from coast to coast, that our community is doing a fantastic job at keeping our people safe. Everything from the measures that have been put in place from our Giman Council in terms of controlled access at the border, ensuring that there's adequate food supplies in our community, and from our policing standpoint, ensuring that we have officers that are standing by all the time, ready to respond to any safety and security issue that we need to in our community.
And that's really tough because, again, COVID hit everybody in every community just out of the blue, and wow, powerful stuff. And like you said, you were very visible at the border. So miigwech for, yourself and the officers and taking part in that and helping to keep our community safe and healthy. So that's just, some of the work that you're doing in the community right now. There's a lot of concern, a lot of questions have been asked over the past few months as well. And maybe it's a result of COVID. People are, living a new life of isolation, staying at home kind of thing. We've seen some unfortunate realities as well as a result of that. We've heard about drugs, the impact of drugs or the issue of drugs. Any comment on that in our community?
Yeah, the issue of drugs is a problem in many Canadian communities across Canada. And it's not isolated to our community or Indigenous communities, it's every community nationwide. So, absolutely we need to have some type of response. And from a community's perspective, there are many different pillars that have to align themselves to address that response. One of those pillars is enforcement. Another pillar is education. Another yet is ensuring that we have treatment and prevention. All of those pillars need to work together to address the issues of the social issue of drugs in our community. So from an enforcement side of things, it was recognized early on that WTPS needed to have more of an active response to the CDSA, the Controlled Drugs and Substances Acts in our community. So what we did is, as a team, we got together, and through strategic planning and through working together, we recognized that we needed a response, and that response is our crime reduction unit. So we realigned some of our resources, and we've included a detective sergeant and 2 detective constables that specifically work together to combat street-level activity, street-level crime in our community. So that could be anything from drugs, guns and gangs, firearms, those type of street-level activities are getting an actual response now.
Right. And when you think about the positivity behind that as well, it brings me back to kind of getting into this time last year when we had the youth conference spearheaded by WTPS. That was great education. Maybe just a reflection on that, because youth are the key. They're next generation. We know that. So maybe, what we've learned from that, and when we're looking at this concern, this issue in our community.
And that's one of the pillars of addressing that in our community is education. And we absolutely need to invest in our youth at every opportunity. So from WTPS's perspective, we saw an opportunity to engage our youth and to bring to them the realities that exist out there when you start to go down a road of abusing negative substances. And so it was very well attended. I was really happy to be a part of that and to go and just to see our youth expressing themselves and our youth taking part and seeing the light come on for them to say, you know what, we are the ones that are going to be the future. We're the ones that are going to have to make this come to an end. So that's just one small part that WTPS is doing, and we're looking to make this a reality where our youth conference is an annual event. That's where we'd like to get to. Obviously, there's a lot of work that happens in the background in terms of funding and staffing and how we make that happen, but we will, and we're going to continue to do that. So this year, it's very challenging to try to be able to coordinate a youth event, especially when we have restrictions in terms of how many people can gather. So we're looking at alternatives for that right now, and how we might have an online presence and an online type of conference, so that we can continue to engage our youth and educate them on the negative impacts of drugs and of drug use.
Right. And it's great to hear that you're looking at reaching out virtually online, because that is the new reality, and there's ways to do it. And there's the interest to be a part of it, whether it's on the end of the organization facilitating it, but also for families, for youth to come together, because they so need that. And I think we all need to have that connection with our youth in our community to show that we care. And it's great to see that WTPS is moving forward with that initiative. So that brings us to basically what we're seeing now with the police service. Some of your priorities that you're working on right now. I know recruitment is a major component of that.
Yeah, that's true. So looking at our policing activities, it's so important that we plan, right? And everybody knows that if you don't plan properly, you're planning to fail. So we see that at the police service, and we've devised a strategic plan with our officers, with our staff, with our police services board, and we've all come together and we've identified various areas that we have to focus on as a police service, and those areas, we're going to continue to focus on to make sure that our community sees safety and security, and that we see a high level of safety and security. So I just would like to share with you sort of, I guess, some myths that are out there right now in terms of policing. Dispel some myths and talk a little bit about the First Nation policing program. So currently, I sit as the president for the Indigenous Police Chiefs of Ontario, and we're an organization that has 9 police services spread out across Ontario, and we all fall under the First Nation policing program. Now, what does that mean? That essentially means that our organizations are funded through program funding, right? Through the bilateral agreements from the Ontario government and the federal government. Other police services are funded through a mechanism that's called essential service status that allows that they have to meet certain regulations, and it's all mandated through legislation. Well, under program funding, you're not under legislation, right? You're under the program. So what some of the areas that we're working on in WTPS and some of the areas that we're working on with IPCO is where we're working towards ensuring that all of our policing activities are going to be funded as an essential service, which will see that all of our Indigenous communities, all of our Indigenous police services are going to be funded equitable. And that's the key word, is to ensure that it's equitable to municipal services, to provincial services, to ensure that we're providing our communities with the highest level of safety and security. Now, that's not to say that we're not doing that right now, even though there are some limitations in regards to our funding. The reason that we are so successful is because of how our services are rolled out. And this is my firm belief. When our Indigenous services come into a community and work with our community, we don't come in and impose our values on our community. We don't. We come in and we wrap ourselves around our community, and we embody the value systems that are here. So our value systems for WTPS are our 7 grandfather teachings, the same as our community. And as a result of that, that allows us to connect much more with the community, to be more a part of it, instead of being an occupying force or being somebody that comes in and we're gonna tell you how it needs to be done. No, we need our community to be able to help us in providing safety and security for everybody.
And you say that word force, and it just brings me back to back in my early journalism days when we look at the word force. That has kind of a different meaning than say service. So police force, police service, right? So I mean, so it's interesting when I hear you say that, because I think about what you provide is a service to the community, the police service, and not a force. So I just want to make a note about that. So when you were talking about dispelling some of the myths, is there something, if we can just be candid, what would be a myth?
So an example of that might be community service officers, right? Under legislation, a police service board must provide a community service officer to do work. It's legislated. In Indigenous policing, it's not. We're provided with frontline funding, which means that all of our officers that are working with us are supposed to be dedicated to frontline policing only. There's no extra funding over and above for specialty units, right? Anything that we create in terms of specialty units, they're pulled from frontline responsibilities. Right, so I know, and I've heard it before, where there's been requests saying, "How come we're not out on the water in our police services boat all the time?" Right? There's a lot of activities that need to happen out there. The truth of the matter is some of the other services, and specifically the Ontario Provincial Police, they have a dedicated marine unit. Right? It's because it's legislated, and because they have that latitude that's afforded to them. We don't have dedicated funding to say that that we have a dedicated marine unit. If we're able to work towards having essential service status and falling under the Police Services Act, that would give us an opportunity to apply for funding specifically for those areas, because they're legislated. It's something that we have to provide. We will have to provide.
So in achieving this, Chief McCaffrey, like you said, you serve on various boards right now, association. So that is your voice at the table, is to have those discussions with other police services and decision makers at the levels, the provincial, national levels. When we're looking close to home, right here in Wiikwemkoong, so what is essential into helping that voice at those tables? It's the partnership conversations with leadership, with community.
Absolutely, and it's an approach that has to come from many levels. As a police service, we're there as subject matter experts. We're there to say, this is the best practices in our industry to provide safety and security. But there's also other lobbying that takes place outside of that, and that's where your subject matter experts like myself would provide that sort of expertise to our leadership, to Chiefs of Ontario, to AFN, so that those lobbying efforts can take place, at a provincial and federal level. So one thing I can share from IPCO's table and also from the FNCPA, where I sit which is the First Nation Chiefs of Police Association of Canada, where I sit as the vice president, is that right now, this is ongoing work that's happening right now, is that the new Comprehensive Police Services Act has been developed in consultation with First Nation policing to allow for us an opportunity to opt into the Police Services Act. That would then allow us to achieve that goal of essential service policing. And it's something that falls within our strategic plan that we're working towards, not only for our organization with WTPS, but also with IPCO and the FNCPA. And it's an exciting time because I can say right now we are on a precipice of change. And that change is going to see all of our Indigenous communities seeing the same safety and security that the rest of Canada gets. And it's about time. And in my entire career of 24 years now of policing, it's hard for me to say that. It doesn't seem like that long. It's gone in the blink of an eye, and I've been here for over 2 years now, and again, in the blink of an eye. But never have I seen so much change in the last 2 years than in my entire career. And change moving us towards finding equity in safety and security. So I'm very happy to be working towards that with all of our partners in policing, with all of our political leaderships, because they recognize that also, that it's a human right. It is a human right that our people receive equitable policing services and safety and security.
I need to ask, what's the challenge to that? Are there any challenges right now to achieving that? Do you see any challenges or obstacles that we need to get around, surpass to achieving that?
Ultimately, when you're looking at an opt-in process, if we're looking at opting into the Police Services Act, whether it's going to be provincially or through a federal model, which they're also looking at creating right now, right? It's not the police service that makes that decision, it's the community. And each individual community has to look at, what's right for them. Is this right for us to go down this road to look at this, or is there another avenue, right? So one of the challenges is ensuring that communities are fully informed, and that's why I'm so happy to be able to be here with you today to share some of this information that I don't think is readily available. And a lot of people don't have this information. They just think that every police service is the same. And so it's really good that we can start having the conversations, sharing this information so that everybody is fully informed. So one of the things that we can do is ensure that people are fully informed so they can make good decisions.
Mm-hmm. And you are quite visible, and your officers, they're quite visible as well in the community. And I know you're going to start to get out there again in the community, and you have some youth, I guess, that are down in Aurelia right now that are coming back home, right? So that's amazing to see as well. So
I'm very excited to. I'm a strong supporter that when you're building a police service, your police service needs to be, it needs to be responsive to your community. So that being said, here in Wiikwemkoong, our community is 90 to 95% Indigenous from this community. Well, our police service should be the same. And it's the same with any other police service. They need to look at their demographic and become their demographic. Because the truth of the matter is that in policing, there's a principle in policing, and one of the principles is that the police are the people are the police, which means essentially that there's no difference, right? That it needs to be representative. So everybody that we've been hiring and have hired from the time that I started here up until now have been people from our community, right? And it's about policing for our community based on our demographic. So right now, and I'm always looking to the future in terms of hiring. We have 2 special constables from the community that are in training right now. I actually just got a report about them today from their instructors saying that they're doing excellent. So I have no concerns, and I expect to be handing them their badge the second week of December when they be coming back and starting their duties as special constables. So it's a different tiered level of policing, right? But what we hope to do with our special constable program is train those officers, right? There's duties and responsibilities they can do as special constables, transporting prisoners, doing court security, and being community service officers, doing that type of work. And from there, we'll be able to train them so that when opportunities do present themselves down the road, because we'll see retirements and other things, that we'll be in a position to hire people right away.
And I know that when that happens, when they do come back, a lot of communication will go out in the community because, again, I mentioned you are quite visible in the community, the police service. You're on social media, you have the website. So I know that you're quite active in making sure we know, and that's amazing.
And another big thing that we're doing, we're working towards with our police service is ensuring that we're culturally responsive, right? So when our officers do come back, we have a process in place now that there's a sunrise ceremony. So we're welcoming them into our community ceremoniously, and not just a formal salute and handing a badge, but having them understand from a cultural perspective too what that means and what that truly means to serve.
Mm-hmm. And I know I've been a part of those, seen them, witnessed those in the past where we've had those official welcomings, and you are right, they're very culturally appropriate for our community. So is there anything else that you need to add as we're kind of wrapping up here today as far as informing our community on some of your highlights, priorities?
No, just that, we're coming into the holiday season now, and I fully understand that people want to get together in large gatherings. That's a custom for many of our people, and my family's no different. But we have to understand that, we need to try to keep to our family groups during this time. We need to understand that there is a global pandemic that's taking place, and we need to do our best to social distance. We need to do our best to keep our families healthy, safe, and secure during these troubling times. So, everybody, please enjoy the holiday seasons. Do so safely. If people are going to be enjoying drinks or whatever, that they do so safely, but ensure that you have a ride home. Whether it's because of the bad weather that might be out there, we don't want anybody to, be stranded, but also because of drinking and driving. We are going to be having, during the holidays, ride programs going in our community, and we don't want to see any tragedy. We want to make sure that people can celebrate during the holiday season, and everybody makes it home safe and sound.
And if people want to stay connected, what are your social media, your website? We have your phone number as well directly.
Yeah, so you can find us on the World Wide Web under Wiikwemkoong Tribal Police Service for our website, and also on our Facebook page, WTPS. Please like us, and you'll see all of our events, and we share a lot on our social media because, we want to stay connected with our community. And before we go, because I know we're coming close to the end here, I brought a gift. This is our Police Service Challenge coin.
Wow.
And I don't know if we can get a close-up of that.
Maybe just...
But this here is our challenge coin that was created last year to commemorate our 25th year anniversary, our 25th year in existence. So on this side is our police service crest, and then on the other side is the community's crest that also commemorates the 25th year anniversary. And this is something that's given to officers, staff, but it's also given to helpers in the community, helpers that help the police service. And by helping, get our message out there, I would really like you to have that.
Miigwech, Chief McCaffrey. This is absolutely beautiful, very unexpected. Wow, what a commemoration, 25 years. That's...
Yeah, it's hard to believe that the First Nation policing program has been around that long. Wiikwemkoong Tribal Police Service has been incorporated for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And some of the officers that have been here from the very start. And one thing, if I can leave you with, is just how proud I am of all of the officers and staff that we have here. They work tirelessly to ensure that our community stays safe and secure. And with the recent tragedy that we had here on Manitoulin Island, now more than ever, if you have an opportunity to say hi to an officer, thank them for their service, please do so, because I can say right now, not only myself, but all of our staff, all of our officers, they need that right now. And if you can just share a kind word with them, it sincerely will go a long way.
Miigwech, I totally echo your thoughts there. So absolutely, and again, as we are entering the holiday season, it is a time of family, it is a time of giving, it is a time of togetherness. And thank you for sharing those thoughts, because that takes us right into our holiday season. So again, Chief Terry McCaffrey, I do want to say Miigwech for everything that you do in our community, and to all of your staff for everything that they do in the community as well. And this is absolutely beautiful, a nice gift for the show for us here today. So Miigwech. So again, Chief McCaffrey did give information on how to connect and stay connected with Wiikwemkoong Tribal Police Service. So like he said, like them, because we all do like them, right? On that note, that brings us to the end of our episode here today on Aambe Giigididaa Wiikwemkoong. And again, we have our Facebook page as well, so you can like us as well. And don't be shy to leave a message, send me a message as well. We do have an email address, wut-talkshow@wiikwemkoong.ca. And of course, you're going to see that information right after in our credits. So again, Miigwech for everybody who is tuning in and joining us here today with our conversation with our police chief, Terry McCaffrey. Nahau Miigwech.
Bamapi.
Bamampi.